Let's go now to Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. He's got breaking details on this big, beautiful bill.
Well, good morning, guys. We are probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half away from actually starting the roll call vote. The final step in approving the big, beautiful bill and getting it to the president's desk. What the House of Representatives has decided to do is sync up with the bill that the Senate passed just a couple of days ago. This is not, any changes in this bill. This is the Senate bill. And because it's not the original House bill that was approved in late May, what they had to do is get a lot of people on board. There was a point when they started a procedural vote, a test vote last night about 9:30, where they had as many as 5 Republican noes on the board, and depending on where they stood in the roll call vote, about 8 to 9 who were just not willing to cast their ballots. There were some pretty intense moments there. As I always say, it's about the math. They can only lose 3 votes and still pass the bill. So they needed to change that, get all the people who were not voting, withholding their votes on board, and then get the others who were no's to vote as well. And so at the end of the day, they were able to lug these guys across the finish line. You had, Thomas Massie at one point. He's going to vote no against the bill. However, he voted yes on the procedural vote, then switched his vote to no, then came back to yes. You had Scott Perry, a Republican from Pennsylvania, who wasn't even here. He was in Pennsylvania. They were waiting for him to drive back in this coalition of mostly these conservatives and Freedom Caucus members. They were going to vote as a bloc. They talked to President Trump around 1 o'clock in the morning. And then they, relented and got these side agreements that they wanted to go ahead and vote on the bill about 3:30 in the morning. At the end of the day, the only Republican who voted against actually starting debate on the bill, that was Brian Fitzpatrick, a Republican from Pennsylvania. So they can only lose 3 on the final vote. But once you get past that test vote, it's all but a fait accompli to get this done. The reason the timing is a little bit up in the air here is what they do is they afford the top leaders in the House a courtesy. They can speak for what they call a magic minute. They are yielded to for a minute, but in reality, they take more than that. And Hakeem Jeffries, he started maybe about 5 or 6 minutes before the top of the hour, and we were told by his office yesterday that he would probably go for about an hour, so that would get us probably close to 6 o'clock Eastern time. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, will be the final person to vote to speak here. We don't think that he will speak nearly as long, and then they will go to a final vote. And keep in mind, because it's such a narrow turning radius, that margin in the House of Representatives for Republicans is so tight, they're probably only going to win this by a vote or two. The vote, if this is our guide, if history is our guide here, the vote on the procedural vote was 219 to 213. It'll be a little bit different, presuming Fitzpatrick votes no, and then Thomas Massie maybe joins him. But all Democrats were here. They had no absences, all 216 Democrats, and so they will, vote no, and then the Republicans will pick up, the balance. It'll be a tight vote when they go to it, but we're pretty assured that that's going to get done, and they meet the goal of President Trump of getting the bill passed before the 4th of July holiday. Guys, back to you.
Okay, so Chad, it took a really long time for the rule vote, that procedural vote, to pass. That happened at around 3:30. And there were 5 no's initially: Thomas Massie, Keith Self, Brian Fitzpatrick, Andrew Clyde, and Victoria Spartz. Do you know what the guarantees that were made that turned some of those no's into yeses?
Yeah, they've been looking for, guarantees of other pieces of legislation that they could not fit into this bill, things that the House of Representatives had approved that they would get another chance to do their bills. Also a guarantee of executive orders from the president. One of the biggest differences between the House bill and the Senate bill was the fact that in the original House bill, they were able to bar Medicaid benefits from going to illegal immigrants. Well, because the Senate has these special budget rules to avoid a filibuster, there was no way they could ever get this through under the regular order in the Senate, so they had to use this special process to bypass a filibuster. That was ruled out by the Senate parliamentarians. So a lot of conservatives did not like that premise there. I also talked to Eric Burleson, a Republican from Missouri, yesterday, who was a no and said he wanted to get to yes, but said he was very concerned about some of the deficit issues. And so, those concerns were laid delayed, but it was pretty clear that this block of people were there, and they were waiting for Scott Perry to come back from Pennsylvania so they all could go in and vote. At one point, though, things were a little bit intense because, by calling this vote last night, Mike Johnson did not necessarily have the votes nailed down. He seemed to think and exuded confidence throughout the day that they would get there. But what that did is it kind of flushed out and made people take a position. You don't really know where they stand until they cast their ballots. And so very quickly, people were either up on the board as no's or they had not voted. And we understood the universe of those members who were kind of out there. And then, was there pressure from the president, pressure from some of their colleagues, certainly pressure from their constituents, those who are aligned with President Trump. They did not want to be, nor did the Republican leadership want them to be the persons who stood in the way of passing the big, beautiful bill.
Chad, when you look at the tight margin in the House, just overall, the Republicans to Democrat ratio, and then you look at what's happened in the last few cycles. I mean, the Freedom Caucus there all but torpedoed Kevin McCarthy as a speaker. What does it say about Johnson as Speaker of the House if they get this passed, this quickly after the Senate passed it?
Well, he has really threaded a needle repeatedly on these big bills. The frameworks, which they did, a couple of those leading up to this, some other things, it's been very close. He doesn't have a big margin of error, so the level of difficulty is harder. I wrote a blog that's up on our website just a couple of weeks ago talking about Mike Johnson, and I said, the calling card of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was always being able, on her side, very different perspective, but to move legislation that was important to her and the Democrats through with tight majority. She always knew where the votes were. Mike Johnson has kind of mirrored that, frankly, and some people have argued he hasn't gotten the same credit. Now, that said, the best whip in Congress, and I've said this a couple of times the past few days, is probably President Trump. It certainly helps to have him there, and they are more unified behind President Trump, and that certainly helps out Mike Johnson.
Sure.
Okay, so the cliff notes are that the rule vote happened. It passed around 3:30. Negotiations are underway right now. Final vote expected in about an hour, and House Speaker Mike Johnson is pretty confident that he has the vote. So we're teeing up for a historic day here, Chad, and we thank you so much for
and no more negotiations. It's set. No more negotiations.
Everybody needs some sleep, a shower, and a meal after this. All right, Chad Pergram live for us on the House floor. Chad, thank you.
Thanks, Chad.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.